Today we're going to be looking at lesson 2, how do stems and roots help plants? So make sure that your book is open to page 98 and that you've got your note sheet out to complete as we go through the lesson. Stems, like leaves, are plant organs, and right away I'm going to write that down. So stems are plant organs. Leaves are attached to stems, and right away I'm going to again write that down. Leaves are attached to stems. Many stems hold leaves high. Why do you think this is helpful? I think it might be helpful because it's away from animals on the ground, but also because it's closer to the sun. Plants need light to make food. The higher leaves are, less likely to be shaded by their neighbors than lower leaves. Stems also hold fruit and flowers on plants. Have you ever poked yourself on a plant's thorn? Think of if you've ever touched a rose, those thorns hurt pretty bad. This sharp point may really be a protective stem. Some other pesky plant parts, such as cactus needles, are actually special leaves. So thorns can sometimes be leaves or parts of the stem. So it can have two different parts to that. But stems are important because it holds the leaves, the flowers, the fruit high off the ground and helps it get food. This next section is two words that look a little bit crazy, but they're an important part of the plant. The xylem and the phloem. Material moves through two special tissues inside some plants. These tissues are called xylem and phloem. They are found in the roots, stems, and leaves. And I see that in my notes it's talking about the xylem and phloem are found in the blank, blank, and blank. And I know that that is roots, stems, and leaves. Not all plants have xylem and phloem, but those that do are called vascular plants. Xylem tissues are tubes that carry materials from the roots, so down in the ground, to the leaves, so it goes up into the leaves. The roots of plants soak up water from the soil. The water carries particles called minerals from the soil. Cells need minerals in some of their activities, including photosynthesis, and we talked about how important photosynthesis is to help plants function. So I know that the first one we're talking about is xylem. Tissues are tubes that carry materials from the blank to the blank. And I know it goes from the roots to the leaves. So the roots to the leaves. The next one we're going to talk about is the phloem. So I'm just going to write that down right away. Phloem tissues are tubes that carry sugar away from the leaves. The sugar in plants is dissolved in water. The mixture of sugar water flows through the phloem from the leaves to the rest of the plant. And we know that sugar is the part of the plant that gives the plants their energy. So it's important that it is in all parts of the plant. So the phloem tissues are again tubes, and they carry sugar away from the leaves. In trees, phloem is made just below the bark of the tree. When new phloem cells form and grow, they push old dead phloem outward. This dead phloem makes up the bark. Bark protects the phloem behind it. You probably would not want to chew on a tree stem, but you have probably eaten other plant stems. Did you know that asparagus spears are stems? So with the phloem being pushed out, that's kind of like our skin cells where the living ones are on the inside and they push out and out and out, and by the time they reach the outside, they're dead. But that's the same thing with the phloem, that it starts and on the inside moves out and out, and then it finally turns into bark. So in trees, phloem is made just below the bark. Dead phloem makes up the bark. And then you've got on page 99, it just talks about kind of the way that phloem works, that it goes two different directions. And then this just talks about the kind of stems that there are. So there's a soft stem and then a woody stem, where you can see the difference. This would be more on a tree, and this would be more on a plant. And just that it's a little bit different of where the xylem and the phloem are on that. You can read through page 99 on your own, and we're going to go to talking about roots. Roots. These spinely cluster. This spinely cluster shown to the right, so that's talking about this little cluster, is another type of plant organ. These long roots spread underground as they grow. Don't let their scrawny or skinny looks fool you. Roots are strong. They hold the plant in place as it grows. So in my notes, I know that the job of the roots hold the plant in place as it grows. So just make sure that it stays in the ground without falling out when it gets windy, that it's still going to stay in the ground and be able to grow. There are different kinds of root systems. Each has different structures. So right away I want to know that there are different kind of root systems. So not every root system is the same. One kind of root system is a tap root. A taproot is a large root that grows straight down. So that's the first one that we're going to be talking about, is a taproot. It's a large root, and it grows straight down. It remains the largest root system, or the root structure, as the plant grows. Taproots may store food for the plant. Small roots may grow sideways out of the main taproot. So small roots may grow sideways out of the main taproot. So we've got the main taproot, and there might be ones going out sideways, but the main one is going to be the biggest and the strongest and most important in the taproot system. Another root system is a fibrous root system. So that's in this one is going to be in a fibrous root system. In this system, many roots grow out in all directions. So like the taproot went straight down and it was that main one. In a fibrous root system, it goes all over the place. Just like in this picture, this would be a fibrous root system because it's going all over the place. So many roots grow in all directions. The roots divide many times into smaller and smaller roots. The fibrous roots of a tree sometimes look like an upside down version of the above ground branches. So if you think about a tree, just normally all the branches go in a bunch of different directions, this is what the fibrous root looks like. Roots grow longer because of special tissues near the root tips. Here cells divide quickly to form new cells. As each of these new cells grow longer, together, they push the root tip further into the ground. So these cells are important because they're going to give the plant more place to be held into the ground. But this one is the roots divide, and that's talking about the fibrous roots. All right, jumping over into our last section, functions of roots. Roots anchor a plant and may store food. So seeing that in my notes, I see roots anchor a plant and they may store food. Another major job of roots is to absorb water from the soil. So I know that roots also absorb water from the soil. And they do this using blank hairs. We're going to read about that. Very tiny amounts of materials from the soil called minerals or nutrients are dissolved in water that enters the roots. With the energy from photosynthesis, these materials are used in important ways in the plant's growth, maintenance, and reproduction. So the roots are a very important part of the plant. And we're going to see right here how the water gets absorbed. So root hairs are actually extensions of tiny root cells. So you can see they just look like some crazy hairs, but that's where the water enters. So it's through the root hairs. All right, now just jumping over into our worksheet. This first part is talking about the xylem, the phloem, the stems, and the roots. It's completing each sentence with those terms. So the leaves of plants are attached to organs called blank. I know that was in the very first section. So it's talking about leaves are attached to stems. So leaves are attached to stems. And that will help us out on that one. And then I can cross out because I know I'm not going to be using it again. Sugar is carried away from leaves in blank tissues. I know that that's between the xylem and the phloem, and we're looking for the one that carries away sugar. I know now that that's the phloem carries away the sugar. All right, and then you've got those last two to do on your own. All right, and then we're working down to the true and false. I will do one of those with you. We'll do number 5. Xylem and phloem are found only in roots and stems. Looking here, so these tissues are called xylem and phloem. They are found in the roots, stems, and leaves. So I know that that one is false. All right, and then for number 9, as you finish the rest of your sheet and work to number 9, summarize the function of roots. It's asking you what is the job of roots. So as you read through this section on 101, page 101, then just tell me what is their job. So page 101. As you finish that up, then you're going to be all set to go.